Well fought, gentlemen. It's time to save the colours.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And at the moment I am just getting over having COVID, so that's why I sound the way I'm sounding right now. I've been coughing my absolute guts up and discovering things that I didn't even realise were inside of me. It's been eye-opening. Nurgle has well and truly grabbed onto me and made my last week absolute. Anyway, guys, let's get on and talk about the Cadia stands box. Now, I'm going to be doing a comparison between the old style of Cadians and the new style of Cadians, and we're going to be going through building up these standards because I think they are one of the most interesting parts of the Cadian forces is their standard bearers. And you know, just over 100 years ago, common sight on the battlefield. These days, probably since World War I, standard bearers not so common on the battlefield. So why in the 40,000 millennium they're back? But they are such an iconic and standout part of the force. I thought I can't not really do anything with these guys, and they're probably the best ones to use for a comparison. So without further ado, let's get on with the video and see what's going on with these new Cadians. So to start off with, my first sort of looks, thoughts, feelings about this new Cadian box is I think it looks great. I think these new Cadians look fantastic. I've noticed that the las guns seem to look a lot like the M14 EBRs. So yeah, there's a style choice that's been made there. But the thing is as well is that they are very, very monopose. And until I've actually built up all this box and see varieties I can do with them, I sort of feel like for diorama building, fantastic, because there's lots of different poses. It makes kit bashing a little bit easier. Like if you want to get someone in a certain pose, there's less filing, green stuffing, or 3D printing to get people into certain positions that I want or may want in the future. But at the same time, I feel like it's also going to take away that little bit of charm of, how's he got that guy into this position or how into that. Clearly there's going to be a lot of kit bashing still to come. And I can see that with these guys, but I just sort of feel like for now, you know, it's gonna look good to begin with, and then eventually you're gonna start getting repeating the same. And you can say that for the multi-part kits, but you can really chop, change, manipulate, and get your hands right into them because it's just so standardized across the entire box that you can really sort of, you know, you can make parts disappear and cover that up with a bit of green stuff, just sort of adapt it and push it into what you've done for the kit bash. And I suppose as well, like these new Cadians in this Cadia stands box as well, they are very ornate. They've got pouches everywhere, they've got pockets, they've got the knives and the, you know, their canteens already sculpted onto them. And yeah, that's great, but I also think the thing I loved about the Cadians is that they were so simple. It was such a simplistic force that you could really smash 20 of these guys out in a day easily, and I will happily put that to the test at some point. You know, you could get these guys painted up as quick as you can because you didn't have to put all the pouches on them. You didn't have to put all their greeblies on, all their, you know, extra ammo pouches, canteens, bayonets. They didn't have to have all that. You could quite simply just choose the bits you wanted and then just go with that. And as well, like, I quite like the old helmets that they wore. They've got a new style of helmet. Their flak vests are different now. They almost sort of look like modern day, sort of going along the lines of modern day, like British Royal Marines. You know, they've got like the Crytac trousers on with the knee pads embedded into the fabric. yeah, they look more modernistic, but I think as well where this is coming from is a sort of sense of these are no longer the Cadians of my childhood or our childhood, the ones where we started our first Cadian boxes, if you collect Cadians, the ones that you first started with, and they have just sort of feel like they've always been there because they've been there for 20 plus years. This is sort of like, I'd say like sort of like the second rehashing really of the Imperial Guard, because you had the initial moment where GW started and the Imperial Guard hadn't quite worked out what it was going to be, and they threw all these regiments at us. We had the Mordian Guards, we had Vostroyans, we had Talon, we had Cadians, we had a lot of different types. We had the Steel Legion, Krieg, and the ones that have dropped along the way, like we no longer have Elysian drop troops. I mean, they looked cool, but we sort of gone to looking, they sort of look like the Elysian drop troops a little bit now, I think, but they're sort of gone now, and we are left with these very ornate looking modern soldiers almost. And as fantastic as that is for me, like I sort of feel as well, like I can't be too hard trodden and we can't be too upset with that, because there's going to be someone coming into the hobby very soon. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be next month. They are going to be the Cadians of their child, and we are just going to be the old guys in the room waffling on about, oh, back in my day, oh, Cadians didn't look like that. Like, oh, let me show you a relic. But as well, I don't think that gets rid of Cadians that we have, because as you can see here, I'm building up the standard from the Cadian, for the new Cadian stamps box, but I'm also building up a standard from the old HQ box, or I said the old, I don't know whether they're going to be getting rid of these kits or not. Hopefully they stay and we'll have both access to both, because the old Cadians can now quite easily be made up as conscripts. And the new Cadian stamps box, you'll now be able to sort of really distinguish between your Cadian veterans and your conscripts and your penal legions, or whatever you want to sort of build up as the sort of the main hoarding part of these armies. That is now possible, I suppose you could say. That's a good thing to come. And I think another good thing to cover it is that this is now someone's, someone in 20, 30 years time, they're going to be saying, oh, I remember the Cadia stands box, that was my first box of Cadians, I love these sculpts. The old ones are a little derpy because they just are, they're old sculpts, but they just have that charm that isn't going to be there anymore, and I'm a little upset about that, but I'm not so upset that I'm going to throw my toys out the pram and be like, no, I want the old ones back. Why have you done this to them? I think it's a good direction that they're going in, and the detail is a lot more impressive with these new ones. That I've definitely told from putting these two standards together that the detail that the plastic sculpts have now compared to what they did have within sort of like, this new stuff, it's great. There's loads of detail on that new flag. That doesn't happen on the old flag. Obviously some stuff on the old flag that's not on the new flag. It happens, but it keeps a bit of variety there. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm quite happy with what I think has happened with them. They are slightly bigger compared to a Space Marine. They're not over-towering anymore, but the whole issue of, finally, Primaris, they're now the right size compared to an Imperial Guardsman. Wow, Imperial Guard, they've just got slightly taller. So there's a bit sort of there now, I suppose you could say, that there's a bit of a discrepancy. Are the next Marines going to be even bigger? Where do we go? Where do we stop? But anyway, I still think that these new sculpts look fantastic. In case you're wondering, what I've done with this model is I've put 2 magnets in the bottom of its feet and then some more magnets on the base. That is because I have an entire Cadian force glued down onto dioramas. So I want to be able to play and display all of my models now. I going forward, I kind of want to be able to get my Cadian force off of the dioramas and be able to take them into a battle with my friends. So what I'm going to be trying to do going forwards is playing and displaying my models, so that when they're not out on the battlefield, they're not just going to be sat in a bag, they can be out on my dioramas being displayed. So with this base done, we can now finally see that Cadia truly does stand. And with these new sculpts, I'm really looking forward to the dioramas that I'm going to be able to build in the future, because they've got these more dynamic poses. They just feel like I'm going to be able to do so much more. So I'm I'm happy, I'm impressed, and I'm looking forward to what the new range is going to bring. Hopefully we will see some revitalizations of some older regiments, but for now, please enjoy my little display piece for my standards, both of them as interchangeable as they now are, and I will see you guys in the next one, and hopefully I'll be feeling a lot better then as well. Hey guys, what's going on? Trying to get some painting done, but I got the coof. Yeah, nearly 3 years on, and Nurgle's rot has finally got me. I do not wish this on anyone. I can only concentrate on about like half an hour at most on painting, but I'm trying to get the new Cadia stand stuff done so that I can get something out. I don't think it's going to be a diorama at this point though, because I'm already 2 days into this. I'm just waiting for the Emperor's sweet release. Oh, Jesus.